Why does he keep saying it? Oh, he just came in and My city had been in lockdown for a very, very long time. And in that time, I desperately needed something to do. So I thought, why not revisit the art of modding games? I have a loose background in it, as in my university days, I'd try and make custom maps, textures, or whatever. But the learning resources weren't quite the same, as today neither was my equipment, and now there's pretty much a tutorial for anything. So, in my eternal excitement for Back 4 Blood, the spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead, I decided to revisit Left 4 Dead 2 with one goal in mind: put as much Mortal Kombat in Left 4 Dead as possible. And this video showcases what I've managed to do, and for those that might be interested in the technical side, I kind of want to make a follow-up video over how I did it. And yes, this mod is available to download from the Steam Workshop right now. The first revision of it anyway. I do want to add more to it in the future, if I get some time. Right, so first of all I want to give a huge thanks to Ermaccer and Allen, two people who had put the tools together for getting my resources in place so I could make this in the first place, and Ermaccer for very much walking me through certain steps that I had long forgotten with 3D models. It had been a long time. Before I do anything, let's just show you what I've got in the game. I wanted to focus on model swaps with as much extras as I could fit into the time I had. All models were acquired from Mortal Kombat Armageddon. The first thing I did was make a pack that swaps all 4 survivors with the cyborgs: Sector, Cyrax, Smoke, and Cyber Sub-Zero. All of the models worked out really nicely, to be honest, and I especially had fun with Cyber Sub-Zero. As you might know, Cyber Sub actually wasn't a thing in the PS2 era of MK titles, so we had to get a little creative to put him in the game. Basically, I just took the Sector alternate costume from Armageddon that, let's be honest, most people didn't even know about. I'm sure some of you didn't even know he had this costume until I just told you, and fully retextured it, using the palette from MK9 as reference. It ended up with a design that I really think could have passed for a 3D era Cyber Sub-Zero. Cyber Sub's always had this kind of lightweight and slender design because of his mobility and stuff, and this specific costume still captures that, I think. These survivors have a bunch of extra sound effects for damage, new visual elements for menus, and things like when a survivor is downed. I was pretty proud of it, all things considered. The Cyber Initiative versus Left 4 Dead. Even without anything else, this was a really cool mod to make, in my opinion. Something I'd actually always wanted to play. I'd learned the entire modding process through this swap pack. Next up, it is the Uncommon and Common Infected. I didn't swap out every single one, but I did get a few in there to add a bit more MK flair where it made sense. First up, almost every single Common Infected is now meat. It just felt like the right thing to do. Although I have to admit it was funny adding weights to his dangly eyeball so it wouldn't glitch out mid-motion. Not something I ever thought I'd have to do, to be honest. Meat behaves like the regular infected and is the character that you'll be shooting holes through more than anyone else. Side note is that I never did manage to learn how to make shadows work around custom models, so in this version, the shadows are just squares. With the Uncommon Infected, the first I tried was taking the Hazmat Suit Infected and turning them into Reiko. Unfortunately, again, I couldn't quite figure out how to make this version complete, as it ended up being just another meat wearing a Reiko suit, which looks really funny, so I've just kept it in. The Mudmen on Swamp Fever are now Havoc. Of all characters that crawl around looking really creepy and weird, Havoc by far made the most sense to me, so you'll be seeing him a lot on that one. Finally, the Riot Zombies that you can encounter are now swapped by Riot Gear Striker. This was an important swap for me because you still need to be able to tell the difference between some of the infected so gameplay doesn't get affected. When it was just another meat, you couldn't tell which one was armored and it got frustrating quickly, so I knew I had to change this to another character and Striker made the most sense. And the biggest pack, absolutely, the Special Infected. It is by far where most of the work went because I tried to fully transform these characters rather than just doing a model swap. I've swapped out everything possible, and crucially for me, to keep the MK experience there, all sound effects and voices too.
thought the model looks really good.
First up, the Boomer, swapped out to be both costumes of Bo Raicho. Look, if we have a large infected running around throwing up everywhere, it kind of only made sense for Bo Raicho. Passive groans and gargling are now swapped out with farts and belches. It is gross, but it makes sense. He was the first swap that I did, and it turned out ridiculously stupid. We're all good.
We got two! Get her!
Reptile replaces the Spitter. Again, making the most sense to me because only one character would spit acid at you, right? The one note about Reptile here is because of the Spitter's skeleton and the fact that its head is usually kind of like split in two, Reptile's head looked really, really weird. But again, these stupid moments in a mod is why I love modding in the first place. Have fun whacking him round the face.
Hunter!
Hunter Molina was a nice and tidy one. She fits the animations pretty much perfectly and was also a similar size to the original Hunter, so I didn't actually need to do much editing, and it turned out really nicely.
That is one ugly ass zombie.
Reloading.
Oh, yeah.
Swapping the Charger with Jax is one of my favorite things about the entire mod. It just fits so well to me because of all the trash talk and the sound bites. I did have to do a bit of bonus editing though, as when he originally had two normal arms, it just didn't look right. So I made his charging arm the same size as a regular charger, and it's a lot more fitting. Jax has a giant arm, and he charges you. It's all good. Dramin Jockey is the next swap, where all laughs and giggling and background noises, they're replaced by the buzzing flies of Dramin. You can hear him, he's annoying, hard to hit, and super gross. It made sense to me.
We got a smoker! Come here! Sucker. Got me!
Scorpion Smoker is an especially proud one for me because I had to do the most editing to make this infected as accurate as possible. I added a spear to the end of the tongue when you're snared, I retextured the tongue using the Armageddon rope texture, and all sounds have been swapped out. So when he snares you, it's...
Got me!
Cindell Witch, a character that screams a lot. I mean, it had to be Cindell. She has this weird ethereal glow, which I do think is a bug with the texture. I fixed it for Striker, but I forgot how to fix it for Cindell. So now, she just glows. It's alright, I guess. And finally, a Shao Kahn tank. He taunts you all over the place before he actually appears for the fight. The fight encounter music has changed to be a lot more stressful, and Shao Kahn in general is just a complete monster, because I reshaped him to fit the tank skeleton. I'd messed with other bosses, perhaps like Onaga, Moloch, and even Goro, but it all ended up coming back to Shao Kahn just fitting it the most. He is the big bad, as far as I'm concerned. This mod was a fair amount of months' work last year, and it was just a bit of a personal project, honestly. I needed to find ways to fill the void being stuck in a UK lockdown in between shows, commentary, and content creation, and now I feel like it's in a stage where it's ready for other people to play and have a laugh with. It isn't perfect, I'm going to say that right now. It's got some buggy visuals and stuff, but I think for the novelty of playing Left 4 Dead with a Mortal Kombat twist, I think it's alright for what it is. I'll link the mods in the pinned comment and the description, and really appreciate your time watching. I would like to make a separate video on how I put this together, because with all the crazy moving parts to making this mod in the first place, it really has to be its own separate video. So, let me know if you'd be interested in seeing the behind the scenes. Oh yeah, and one more thing! I made a separate Survivor pack for those wanting a more human experience. Enjoy playing as Ermac, Sub-Zero, Rain, or Jade if you want to do that instead. I made this pack at the last minute as a little bonus for those that didn't want to play as the cyborgs. Take care, have fun, let me know if you enjoy this mod, send me videos and clips, and I'll see you next time. Take care, and much love.